Infinite ammo.
Hello, everyone. This is my first episode of the Let's Reminisce podcast. I am Mr. Bane for you. Been kind of a regular around these parts, and we're gonna talk about EA back when they used to be good. You remember that? I do. I wish I was like it again.
A time where they were good.
Oh yeah, there was a time.
Yes,
There was a
yeah,
time.
they
Yeah,
were
there
good back in
definitely
the day,
was a
they were.
time.
But we're gonna go down the road here. Akibana.
I'm Akibana Zero. Prior history with EA published games. I don't know. I think maybe one of the most memorable ones to me, I would say, is Dark Age of Camelot.
Oh man, I forgot about that game.
It kind of set a bit of a standard, I think, for future MMOs, and I think it was probably one of the first that did realm versus realm, something like that.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
All right. Relog? He's not here, I think.
It's
Huh,
been
well,
abducted by aliens.
He's been kidnapped by EA for conspiracies.
Clearly.
He doesn't believe there was a good time for EA.
We'll catch up with him whenever he gets back. We'll have him introduce himself. Shadow.
Yo, what's up? I actually discovered there's a lot of games that I played back in the day that were EA that I didn't know about. That's kind of interesting. So that's kind of a journey back for me, this podcast. It's pretty cool.
Oh, no, we just had Relog's disconnect. I don't know what's happening.
EA
Okay.
kidnapped him.
Oh,
Okay, they returned him.
Relog?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. Introduce yourself.
my Discord is fucked up. I'm sorry about that.
I thought the EA Gestapo kidnapped you.
It could have been. Martin, I'm gonna kill you. I swear to God. Okay. So I'm Relux Gaming, and I'd probably say my most memorable one is SSX. That thing was the shit.
Damn,
Ooh,
yes.
Yeah, good game.
And then to Grotus. I hope I pronounced your name right. I
Yes,
feel
you
bad
did.
if not. Okay, sweet.
For me, it was actually during the PlayStation and GameCube era where I started playing their game. And back then, I would say, when you see it's EA, you know the game is good.
I miss the old intro.
Yeah,
EA games challenge everything like
exactly.
that. That was great.
Yeah.
Sports in the game. Or the sports
In the
games.
game.
Yeah, the EA Sports one, right?
Yeah.
But sorry, continue. My bad.
No, they had some good movie license titles like Lord of the Ring and James Bond.
Oh yes.
They did some good movie licensed games in the past. I mean, they definitely took those games on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll be talking about some of them later, also. Which one of them is my favorite EA game. So, but the one I spent the most time on was probably Burnout 3 Takedown. The year that game came out, I think I spent a good 4 days on it. Like when it first came out, solid 4 days straight, and then I still go back to it every once in a while because it's a great game. It's so much fun. All right, so let's get into the first question here. What were your top 3 most favorite EA games before the current gen? So like PS4, Xbox One, Switch, stuff like that. For me, I'd have to say Burnout 3 is number 1. Godfather is number 2. And the first Dead Space is number 3. I spent a ton of time with all 3 of those games, and I just love them. They're great. But,
I think for me, the some of the best games they ever made were the Need for Speed Underground games. Definitely have to be in my top 3.
I miss playing the second one. I spent like 100 hours on it when it first came out.
I think I spent more, and I
Wow.
don't really play racing games either.
Yeah, same.
I think EA, with their racing games, they did them so well back then.
Indeed.
A fully designed game that anybody could kind of get into. It was perfect.
Yeah, and I think they did capture that whole like street racing culture quite well with the Underground series, and they gave you like so many options to customize. It was ridiculous.
Yes, that was my most favorite part.
Yeah, and I gotta
Yes.
say,
Shadow knows.
the Need for Speed series is probably like the prime example of how EA evolved. It was a really good game. Today's fucking garbage.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, for me, I'd probably say Godfather, Skate, and SSX. Those three would probably be my three favorite ones.
Oh
And,
yeah, Skate was also
good.
pretty interesting. Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to make a Skate 4. Skate 3 did really, really well.
They shut down the company that, or the...
That's never stopped EA before, let's be fair.
True.
Well, let's see. For me, top three, I would start with Battle for Middle-earth, which is an
Oh, that's a fun
fantastic.
That's actually a great tie-in game.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's so cool with all the. You can play so many stupid heroes in that game, and you can just jump in the middle of a freaking army and slaughter them with one hero. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And the other game, number two, I would say Command and Conquer Generals, 0 Hour specifically.
That ain't bad.
I loved that game, especially because it was so topical back then. It was so taboo almost. The terrorists in the game and what you could do, car bombing and shit like that. It was really naughty actually back then. So naughty that they
made it through.
I mean, they censored it very heavily in Germany. I remember that they replaced all humans with robots and stuff like that. It was pretty hardcore.
They did that with Turok as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Holy cow. But, I mean, it does make sense. Well, wouldn't it be more intriguing to see a game where robots are car bombing each other?
Yeah,
With
maybe.
electric cars?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, they turned the terrorist into like a little driving barrel full of TNT. It was pretty funny.
That sounds perfect.
And number one, I would say SSX Tricky or SSX 3. I'm not quite sure which one of them is better. I like both of them.
I prefer Tricky, but 3 is also just so much fun.
Yeah.
Also, SSX 3 gave me a lot of different kind of music inputs. It influenced a lot of like the music I'm listening to today because there was such a diverse selection of different kinds of music in the game, which is pretty cool.
Actually, I want to get into a really quick side question. EA, like 360 and like the PS2 and the 360, those eras, they had such great music in their games. What has happened?
Licensing
They refuse
issues.
to pay license fees.
Yeah, probably.
Burnout 3 soundtrack is one of my favorite of all time. There's so many good songs. Memory by, I think it's like Sugar Cold or something. That one I could race to in any game now because I have it burnt into my head from hundreds of hours of playing the same game. Soundtrack was so damn good. What has happened? It's now pure electronica or it's pure rap. There's no in between. There's no like weird like 70s song or weird like Run DMX song like in SSX. They're not in there anymore, and I'm just so pissed.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, sorry to go off on a tangent there, but my bad.
Well, for me, my three top EA games before Xbox One, etc., would be Mass Effect 2, as it's my favorite Mass Effect game, and I count that as an EA game as they bought BioWare at the same time as
anything EA published or developed, yeah.
And then for second, I would say Battle for Middle-earth 2. That strategy game was a lot of fun, even though I never really bought it, and it's impossible to find these days because it's a licensed game. We all know how licensed games works.
I still have a copy of it, a physical copy actually.
Oh, I wish I would own that. And for the third game, it's either Dead Space or Battlefield 3. I mean Battlefield Bad Company. I can't really decide on it. Both were great games in its own rights.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's get on to the next question here. who was your guys' favorite developer, and who made the most favorite developer who made the most unique games under EA's licensing? And I'm going to say Criterion, even up until the last game I remember them making, which was the 2012 Most Wanted. They did really great with their racing. Everything is fun, it's fluid. It works in a way that doesn't feel like most racing games. Burnout 3 especially. It's so fast. You have constant nitrous, you're crashing into people, you're causing them to go flying off bridges and stuff like that. There wasn't a lot of racing games like Burnout 3 at the time, and there still aren't today. And Burnout
that's
Paradise,
what makes Criterion great as a pick here as well, because it's like it makes a racing game that's not exactly a racing game in the sense that you have to win in a race.
It's not like a sim, but it's just. Sorry, continue. My bad.
It opens up to more types of gamers. That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm not into racers, and I really like Burnout a lot.
I would say it takes the concept of a racing game and puts it in a sort of goofy arcade style, like Daytona USA, but on like crack or something. Daytona USA made by a car insurance salesman who really needs to lose all of his money. and I'm fine with that, because the old school Burnout games felt unique. They still do. I haven't seen a game other than maybe Flat Out, I think it is, that even comes close to Burnout.
Yeah, Flat Out is also pretty fun, but yeah, it's not quite the same.
I get that. So yeah.
Developer that I don't know about unique, but I definitely have to call Westwood Studios here for sure, because of Command and Conquer. I mean, those were like some really awesome strategy games, and like they paved the way for so many of the strategy games that we have today, of course. And it was pretty damn shame that they were shut down.
In fact, it was one of the most iconic brands that EA had, and
they
companies,
were like
I should say, also,
poster children at the time as well.
True.
It's sad to see them go.
Yeah, I would say Visceral Games.
No,
Same here.
Not just because of Dead Space, but also because of Dante's Inferno, I think they did as well.
Yeah.
They did.
Which is a really interesting game, just from the lore point, like the 10 levels of hell and all the different kind of enemies which reflect the sinners that would be in this circle of hell. That was a really cool game to play through.
And it did kind of come out of a time where everybody called it a God of War clone, but I'm going to be honest here, I thought it was doing more interesting things than God of War 3 at the time.
Yeah, they did some pretty bad marketing. There was like the fake Christian protesters,
and then the boxes that would annoy
as well.
Oh yeah, then the boxes that would annoy reviewers until they broke it, saying that they had wrath on the inside. That was dumb.
That was pretty bad, but for me, it didn't taint the experience. But yeah, it was pretty stupid.
It's EA did some really dumb marketing stunts over the entire history of the company, and that's like number one. That's top of the cake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the same one as Shadow did, basically for the same reasons as well.
They also didn't do bad with Battlefield Hardline, I thought. Hardline isn't really a great game, but it's better than Battlefield 1.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely is. Most games is better than Battlefield 1.
Hell, even Infinite Warfare, the game that it was competing with, is somehow better than Battlefield 1.
Weird.
Oh, yeah. What about Grotus?
Like Shadow and Relog's Visceral Games.
I give that.
Yeah, either that or BioWare.
Man, BioWare's fallen a little far, haven't they?
Yeah, but that's what happens when EA buys you.
I feel so sorry for Respawn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would actually be my honorary mention here. Respawn, they've like Titanfall 2 was such an amazing gaming package.
Titanfall 1.
Titanfall 2.
I'm about to say, like, Titanfall 1, when that came out, also, if it was $40, because it didn't include a campaign,
it was a good game, apparently, and
it was
created,
fun.
like, a whole community, but it was fun, too. But I never got a chance to play it because it wasn't on PS4.
It was on PC, though.
Yeah, well, I didn't have a PC at the time for playing games. This
I will
current
say
one
this,
that we
though.
have with the campaign and everything is great as a gaming package.
I will say this, though. I played it on the 360 when it came out there, and it was impressive that game fit on the 360.
Oh, indeed.
Oh yeah, Bluepoint actually ported it down, so that's something intriguing there. But yeah, I really hope they don't die. They're working on a Star Wars game, and like the last company that worked on a Star Wars game, a little bit worried.
They're also working on a VR project and the next Titanfall, apparently.
I'd rather them just scrap the VR project, if I'm being fair.
Well, I'm curious to see what they would do with VR.
Look at that. Actually, you know what? They are probably the more intriguing ones with VR. A Titanfall game in VR would be intense.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
All comes down to, most of the time, it comes down to how is the movement done in the game? Does it cause motion sickness and stuff? So if they can do that well, then yeah, probably.
It's one of those things where I would say with the current tech, we should be careful what we wish for, actually.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I'm a quick tangent. I'm excited to see, because Microsoft and a couple other companies are kind of getting into mixed reality. That could be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing a Titanfall game in mixed reality where you can play and walk around just a field and see the Titans fighting each other. That'd be neat.
That would be really cool, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so to the next question here. What was your favorite EA licensed franchise from the past? Which you could say even like Burnout, stuff like that. Hypothetically, this is a hypothetical question. Like Burnout or the Harry Potter games or anything like that. What would you want brought back as an independent brand, away from current EA?
Everything.
you know, that's probably the best answer.
It's the laziest and the best answer at the same time.
Yes.
If I had to go
everything
specific,
EA touch,
Burnout.
it kills.
If I have to go, if I can speak English, if I have to go specific, fuck it, I'm just gonna leave that out in the air. I would go Burnout. You know, Burnout Paradise is a great game. It's a great ending point for the series because current EA don't want them touching it. But I want to see a new developer go at the concept of, you know, takedowns and, you know, hitting people and having them fly off bridges and stuff like that. That's fun. I want more of that.
Carnage.
Damn.
Carmageddon.
Carmageddon's a separate brand now. They actually just made a game a couple of years ago.
Yeah, there's one for PS4 as well.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that.
It's like Carmageddon Max Carnage or something. I think it's
something like
I think
that.
it's on
It was
everything right
really,
now.
really cheap at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting a new Carmageddon game, so that's something. So are we all agreeing on everything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I would like to see Command and Conquer return, but the classic Command and Conquer, the Hand of Nod and the what were they called, the GDI.
You mean the pre-EA Command and Conquer?
Exactly. That's exactly what I would like to come back.
I didn't hate. I played Command and Conquer Red Alert 2 on the 360 when that came out. I didn't hate how they ported it. I wouldn't mind seeing them do like a multi-platform, like old school Command and Conquer. Especially with like a PS4 touchpad, that'd be kind of intriguing.
Oh yeah, that could work actually too. I mean, like RTSs work very well on touchscreens, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like the way the Halo Wars games have done. Have you seen how they do the controller setup?
No, I haven't tried that.
It's pretty impressive. They pretty much map all the kind of things you need on like triggers and bumpers, and you hold them, and it works really well. So
I
I
doubt
think
it would
EA
make a
was-
very good competitive game if I'd imagine.
It's not very solid for competitive, but I mean, the Halo Wars ones are mostly story focused, and then multiplayer's like 2v2, 3v3, stuff like that. Anybody else?
Well, I either would say Dead Space, but like first Dead Space, you know?
Yeah. More like 1 or possibly more like 2.
Yeah, or what I
can
would
avoid
actually
3.
even like more is like a new SSX, but a really good one, like a solid one, you know,
Yeah.
with like several mountains. Each mountain has like, I don't know, 10, 15 different tracks, and you can just either free ride down the whole mountain and have fun on your own with, or you can go to different like races and contests and have rivalries with other snowboarders, and then a killer soundtrack, of course, with a cool DJ that cracks stupid jokes between songs. That was one of the coolest things in SSX3, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, that kind of sounds like Steep.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I just like the
still
characters.
has a lot of problems.
Like
it has a lot of
characters
problems,
from
yeah, but
SSX.
it's like, it kind of feels like SSX, but it's kind of a broken SSX in today's graphics.
It feels more like Shaun White's Snowboarding, if you ever played that game, which felt like SSX, but made by somebody who was blind.
So SSX made by EA today.
Great,
Yes.
great. Yeah, the thing is, I want to play with all these characters that I have grown to love, you know, with all their different kind of special moves, like breakdancing on the snowboard and shit like that. That's what I want.
Yeah. Have you tried the 2012 SSX?
I'm not quite sure. I think the last one I played was on tour, probably, and that was a bit of a letdown.
The 2012 one is okay. You kind of lose a lot of the magic the old school games have, but it has a decent soundtrack.
Yeah, maybe I need to give it a go. I don't know.
All right. Grotus.
Well, yeah, Dead Space I would like to see, but more back to the horror roots.
So basically the first two and not the third.
Yeah. Well, I can't really speak for the third as I haven't played it yet, but as far as I've heard from it, it's not Dead Space.
You know, Dead Space, the mechanics don't work for an action shooter. Like, it doesn't work for fighting people. It works for fighting creatures.
Yeah.
And the problem is, you fight a lot of human beings. That's my quick review of Dead Space 3 without getting into the word fuck. All right. So, what practices do you think that EA should have taken from how they operated during the previous eras to fix the current problems they have? Personally, there are some aspects of modern EA I don't hate. I don't hate the EA/Origin Access concept, where similar to how like PlayStation Now subscription is, you sign up for it, you get like a certain amount of games a month, like however many games is on the service, and sometimes they'll go away, sometimes they won't. And I see a lot more companies going into that model. Xbox has Game Pass, PlayStation has PS Now, EA has both EA/Origin Access. I understand the model and I get it. That's fine. They need to look more at, a full game launch will actually get people to buy these DLCs, not just, hey, here's the game and it doesn't work, and here's some microtransactions. Bad Company 2, all of its maps were free, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had some expansion maps as well, I believe.
And they had, it was Vietnam, which was $10.
Yeah.
The thing is, Bad Company 2 was a full game. Like, you bought it, and it came with a story mode, and it came with a very well expanded online with good maps at launch. And then it added more content and some microtransactions, which were just like, hey, you get a skin for your character, and you get a different skin for a gun, and it's $5. You don't need it. But when you come out with a full game like that, like, Burnout Paradise, that was a full game before, the Big Island DLC and all of those.
Yep.
Those games, when they come full, that incentivizes people, hey, I got a lot out of this game, I want to spend $10 or $20 on downloadable content. I want to buy that next expansion. Mass Effect 2. I finished the game, I played 100 hours, and then I bought the DLC because I liked the game.
Yeah.
When you give somebody a full experience, they want more of it. Not when you give them, like, hey, here's this experience, pay $60 in microtransactions to get maybe the character you want. That doesn't work anymore. That shouldn't work. That shouldn't have worked to begin with. But it somehow did. And EA bought hook, line, and sinker into it. In fact, UFC 3, the beta for that one that people have been getting into, they've seen the microtransactions are horrible in that. It's almost impressively bad. Oh. I miss when... Hell, UFC 2014, the first game they put out in this series, didn't have microtransactions as bad as 2 did, and then as bad as 3 did with 2. It's absurd.
They seem to be escalating them, it seems, with every new iteration of each game.
I feel sorry for people excited for Anthem, because I can see it coming a mile away now. Oh yeah, that game is going to be riddled.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be bad. I'm fully expecting it to be bad. And I say this as a Destiny player who's been excited for Anthem to come out because it sounds like the same concept and probably maybe even a step better. But
I've fallen for these games a few too many times also, like Anthem, Destiny 2, and The Division. I've fallen for both of those games. But I'm so worried for EA because there are a lot of franchises I love from them. I mean, Dead Space, they kind of did the same thing with microtransactions also. Dead Space 3, you can actually buy crafting equipment.
Yep.
Which, that feels like a big fuck you. Like, it feels like we're just saying fuck you to the gamer. And that was egregious back then. But now, looking back, it's not as absurd. It's absurd, but it's, like, it's still, you get what you're paying for. You're not paying for a box which might have what you want. Which, I didn't think we'd get to this point. But EA's kind of, they need to look back at the early 360 era and the PlayStation 2 and, like, you know, original Xbox era and realize what worked, what didn't.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I hope they learned from that. Sorry for that tangent.
I think
I'm actually of the same mind as you are. I feel like EA right now is looking at how they're going to milk the consumer, and instead they should be looking at how they can, I'm not going to say milk, but more like expand the games that they're bringing out. Like how you said with Mass Effect 2, that I too also felt really great about that game, and I got the DLC and everything, and it was a full experience without the DLC. And that's what encouraged me to go and get more. And I wanted actually more of that game. I wish they did more DLC. And that's the thing, is like, more expansions could mean that people could stay more in that particular title they got, as long as they're reasonably priced and give like a decent amount of gameplay within them. But instead, they're just going for like small things, low effort stuff that will potentially yield a high return. And that's not what the consumer wants. And ultimately, that makes me feel that EA doesn't understand us as consumers, particularly as core gamers, or even, you know, enthusiast casual gamers.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. I think they, you know, I can't blame them. You know, a company, they're obviously hungry for money. It's the core thing of a company. But you get good PR when you do good things, which means you make more money in the long term. You know, a company that donates money to charity, it gets a lot better PR than a company who, like, steals cats from children and shoots them right in front of them.
It's so dark.
Yeah, I decided to go. I was gonna go a little lighter. I'm like, middle of the water. No, I'm going whole hog.
To be fair, that sounds like something EA would do.
EA would murder the cat in front of the kids and then pay him to get the corpse, or like charge him to get the corpse. You know?
Would you like to get a better casket for your cat? Open these loot boxes now.
Pay $5.99 for a chance.
Oh God. Well, something else I would say that we already discussed like previously is the thing with the soundtrack. That was a
Yeah.
lot better in the past for some reason. And I really would love to know what the problem is there. Because
I think it's just one
Yeah.
person on music department saying, I like EDM. I don't care what anybody else likes.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just can't remember back to a few games that I played that I listened to the soundtrack to a lot of different kinds of music styles, and I was intrigued and I wanted to look these things up. Nowadays, if I play games, I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's soundtrack, whatever. Standard stuff. I don't really care anymore. That's kind of weird.
I mean, I think there are now like rare exceptions with like some games will get like a title track, like Super Mario Odyssey. That one has like the big track that's been playing in all the trailers. That one people will remember because hey, it's in all the marketing and it's one song. Or like the Persona soundtrack, like those games they put in lots of soundtrack there. EA doesn't do that anymore. There's not a lot of scores where there's actually a theme or the soundtrack where there's anything good on it. I don't get why they've decided to go down this route, but
Well, they put in all that effort into Persona because the whole soundtrack, all the songs are just like
Plus-
they're a part of the
yeah.
world.
plus
It
you're
feels
going to be
like it's all
listening
a
to it
part
for
of
about
this.
100 to 200 hours.
I
depending on how many
listen
times
to
you
it
play
every day on my way to work and back.
Like, I mean, EA soundtracks, so they used to be ones where you're like, man, I want that. I want to listen to all of these songs again. Because like, even if you don't even like the game, a lot of the games from back then had great soundtracks.
Yes, that's true.
Low effort
Like-
for high return. I mean, that you could garner that from the latest Need for Speed as well. It doesn't have a lot of cars, and that
Oh.
because that means they have to license them. Compare that to the list of cars that they had in the Underground series. I mean, it's like it's pathetic right now.
Hell, how many? We're gonna get into that in a second here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Oof. But yeah, I think we'll save the car talk for just a little bit here. That's question 13. But we're gonna switch to the next one if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
Go on.
All right. What do you think of the James Bond era of EA games, which they released 9 games from 1999 to 2005 within that sort of sphere? And it's kind of impressive because they had a lot of great games.
Yeah, they did. Like
I-
Fire, Agent
Oh,
of
yeah.
Fire.
Everything or Nothing, which I'm very
Yeah.
impartial to. So some of these games also had 2 different versions, which the N64 and the PlayStation 1 version of World Is Not Enough are completely different games. Yeah, it's kind of absurd how EA did with those. The only one that didn't do really well, I think, was 007 Racing, but I mean that kind of came out a little too late for the racing games.
That was
Like that.
weird.
It was weird and kind of bad. And then they released like Agent Under Fire right afterwards, 1 year later, and that one sold gangbusters, I think.
It was a good
So, like-
experience for a James Bond game. I didn't play it a lot, but it was. I thought it was pretty cool for a James Bond game.
And then right after that one was 007 Nightfire, which it was pretty good. Although the PC version was actually made by Gearbox, the same people who made the Borderlands games, which it is a completely different game.
Of course it is. It's
All the
Gearbox.
piece. Oh man, can you imagine the same Gearbox that later made such hits as Aliens, Colonial Marines?
Oh yeah, the best game ever made.
That game feels like a
Jesus.
modern day EA game.
Yeah.
It really does. That's the sad part.
The
They
game,
can only do Borderlands. I feel that's all they can do.
well, they tried making Borderlands, but a multiplayer shooter with Battleborn, and that game flopped
don't
like it
remind
deserved
me.
to.
Don't remind me of that. I bought that game on release, and it
Oh,
was fun.
my.
But it
I'm
was fun too. But oh god,
Oh, I'm so surprised that game sold copies.
it was
But
actually fun. But yeah, well, it's not for right now.
yeah, sorry, we're getting off topic. My bad. So yeah, what do you guys think of the 007 games under EA's sort of like their era?
I have to be fair, I completely missed all of these. Somehow I
Same
was
here.
never into James Bond 007. I watched the movies very much, but I never played the games, except GoldenEye with a friend on the, what was it?
N64.
N64. That was, I think, the only thing that I played because of the multiplayer was so great. But everything else completely passed by me, basically.
That was, I think Nintendo was really smart for making that game. Just gonna say that that sold consoles.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But anybody else?
No.
I think we're pretty much done with James Bond. If
Okay,
no
that
one
was
else has something to-
that was the quickest topic we've had so far. Let's continue.
You call that quick?
I call that one relatively quick compared to the other ones because we've been going on for about half hour. It seems.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm just joking.
All right. If you could recommend a retro EA game to anyone with an open mind, what would it be and why should it be experienced? You can only pick one per person. This is tough because the game I want to recommend, it's not currently on anything that's easy to get a hold of, and emulating it is less than ideal. But if you have an Xbox One right now, you can get the game Black, which was also made by Criterion. You can get it on the Xbox One, and it runs, I think, at a 2 times higher resolution than it did on the original Xbox. So pick it up. It's $10. You waste $10 as it is anyways eating at McDonald's. Skip a meal. It'll be good for you. And it's one of the most interesting shooters from that era because the guns are they're accurate to how they act in real life. And the gunplay is fun. It's absurd and it's fun. And it's only $10. Just buy it.
This
All right,
one may not be doing EA any favors necessarily, but if you want to experience possibly, well, definitely the worst fighting game ever made, but possibly one of the worst games period ever made, go for Shaq Fu.
Well, Shaq Fu is just an absurd concept, though. It's great.
I will tell you something though. I mean, in its absurdity, it burned for me and a lot of my friends back in the Super Nintendo era a lot of hours. And I mean a lot of hours. It's just hilarious how that game plays. It just made us like roll on the floor laughing all night long. It's just incredibly hilarious. It's one of those things that you say it's so bad that it could be good if you're in the right frame of mind.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to find. There was a fighting game. I don't know if it was from EA or whoever it was from, but it had like Don King on it. I'd recommend that one because it was just so absurd to see Don King's face again.
Well, originally I wanted to say Dante's Inferno, but I just remembered something else that I would recommend a bit more because it's more obscure, I guess. If you like at least metal music or rock music, Brutal Legend is actually pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
it's
That's an EA game.
Yes, it is.
Oh really?
That's the weird part. I just figured that out. You basically play as, well, Jack Black. Basically, it's a character voiced by him, and you drive through a fantasy world. You meet some interesting characters, Ozzy Osbourne, Lemmy Kilmister, and there's a really cool metal soundtrack of huge variety of bands, and it's kind of fun. It's like a hack and slash game. There's some driving and strategy elements as well, but the hack and slash part is probably the biggest thing. And it's really cool. Its voice acting is done very well. It's a funny and quirky game.
Oh,
Nice.
and I was wrong. Don King Presents Prize Fighter was published by 2K Sports, but it really did feel like fight night games. So, yeah, my bad.
I'd probably say Road Rash.
Oh, that's the one with the motorcycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that.
Is that the
Yeah,
game
really.
that's for PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
they
that
made
game incredibly super broken.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, I
wasn't it,
love that game.
it's
Road,
amazing.
yeah, Road Rash 3D.
It's so broken. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. You can even drive through walls in it.
Oh wow. That game had a licensed music from such bands as Sugar Ray and Kid Rock.
Awesome.
Yeah.
In
Just
fact, you
walking
could
away
hit
from that.
something invisible in it and then just fly all the way to the right without any kind of reason whatsoever. That's how beautiful that game is.
That game's amazing. It's made perfectly.
They're actually working on a sort of spiritual successor to it called Road Redemption.
Yeah, that
Oh,
game sucks.
Jesus.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it sucks. I tried it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hang on, it's coming to Wii U?
Don't buy it.
Yeah, then it
What
must be
the
pretty bad.
What am I missing?
I thought the Wii U was dead.
It
Yes,
is,
I'm wrong.
Yeah, it is as well.
but hey, you're already halfway through developing it. May as well.
Yeah, true. Why quit now?
Oh man.
For me, I'd recommend Lord of the Rings: Return of the King because that's a great co-op experience.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, a bit short, but you know, the single player and co-op is very different, I'd say. So it has a lot of replayability.
Yeah, it
Plus, it
does.
had a lot of fun cheat codes you can unlock at the end of the game.
Of course, you'd cheat. You sound
Yeah.
like Martin. Cheating your way through.
Well, hey, Martin's in the shower with the hole.
Hopefully, you fell.
The hole's not that big.
Relax. I know you hate the guy, but that's really mean.
Hang on. That hole isn't that big for that purpose. I'm just saying.
No, I mean, I just hope he slips and falls.
Okay. All right. For context for audio listeners, in the chat, he just said, "I shaved my pubes." I can only
Beautiful.
imagine it took him over an hour because something was matted.
Yes.
Anyways, all right. To the next question, or
Yep.
Sure.
okay. All right. So EA has been known for about the last 27 plus years that they've had a massive sports division. What would you say is the sports game that they made that you're the most fond of? Like, you can do any year, any game, whichever one. I'm gonna skip this one because I'm not a fan of sports games other than racing games, and EA Sports is kind of separate. So
Well, the thing is, for me, I'll talk about the real sports games because technically, I think SSX might be. Was SSX under EA Sports? I'm not quite sure.
I will quickly fact check this. Give me 1 second here.
But I didn't want to talk about that anyway, because from the big series that they have, I think they have like Madden, NHL, FIFA. Am I missing something? That is like the big three they have, right?
It's FIFA. NHL isn't really as big, but
Madden.
yeah, and then Madden, yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, SSX was a part of EA Sports line, so I can't say something. I liked the earlier games, not a fan of the last one.
All right. The thing is, for me, football in Switzerland is, for me, it's meh. We don't really have football here, so the only big thing here, in my opinion, was always hockey or hockey. And therefore, I played NHL, I think like NHL 2000 and maybe one before and after it. But then I pretty much grew out of sports games and they started to bore me. So back then they were pretty fun. They had like fight scenes in the game, so you could beat the shit out of other players. That was pretty fun, but yeah.
Yeah, they just toss the gloves down and then you get health bars on top of them and you can start. It was like getting into a fighting game all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Also,
Sarah,
I always
I
used to like crank up certain parameters for the season that I played. I cranked up like no penalties and a maximum injury, so I would just go around and smack into people, try to injure as much people as I could. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, that's what I did in that game as well.
By the way,
Something
something I
everyone
did
in a sports game.
realize, really quickly to get off on a different tangent. The man who I say ruined Microsoft also worked for EA. Prior to
surprised there.
joining Microsoft, Don Matrick. Yeah. I hope he gets in a car crash. Anyways, sorry, different point here. Okay, so where was I at with this? Anybody else have any?
I'd probably
EA
say for
Sports?
me it was probably triple play, but that goes under the EA Sports thing as well. So I'd probably say MVP baseball
Look at that.
because I've played baseball my whole life, so that's probably the only reason for it.
Anybody else?
No, not
I'm
really.
not really a big sports fan, like as a gaming sports fan. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I never got into like the FIFAs and NBAs and stuff, but I do have to say like the much older era of sports games were more fun because they didn't feel like simulators
Yeah.
compared to now where they're just slowly like for the FIFA from I don't know, Super Nintendo or PlayStation 1 era. It's just
Like
it felt
the goofy
more
kind of over the top, and sometimes
exactly.
like
Yeah, it felt
yeah.
more like a game. Now it just feels like they're all trying to just, simulate playing football instead of trying to, change a little bit football into more of a gaming kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would say if you really want to experience what sports games felt like, you have to go like way back. And definitely
Tecmo
EA
Bowl.
shined at the time.
Tecmo Bowl was the
Sure.
best though.
Which one?
Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Ball.
Oh yeah, it's the best top-down football game ever made, and it was made on I think the SNES.
Never played it.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's pretty easy to emulate that one. There are some SNES games that don't emulate well, but it was pretty good.
All right.
All right. So the next question: what is your favorite shooter game from old school EA and why? I'm gonna cheat here and I'm gonna say 2 games: Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2.
Shit.
They
I
took
agree with Bad Company 2.
like Bad Company 1 and 2. They took the Battlefield I'd already played before years ago. Battlefield 2 was for a little while there my most played PC game. And I liked those games. The problem is, I was a little bit worried when they announced they were making a console version because I kind of avoided the it was Battlefield 2 Modern Combat because it looked like ass. So I was nervous and excited though when I saw the story trailers and all the ones where they made fun of like Metal Gear Solid and the Gears of War trailer and all that, which are great. And I was nervous, but when the first one came out, it quelled my my issue, my worry. They transferred Battlefield onto a smaller control set and made a better game out of it. And then Bad Company 2 was just a fun time all around. Yep.
Going out of personal anecdotes, I would definitely say that I've had a lot of fun at LAN parties playing Battlefield 1942.
Fuck
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is
was a
pretty
good
great.
time. That was a good time. But if I'm gonna recommend a single like more retro first-person shooter, I would say System Shock 2.
Oh yeah, that was published by EA. Holy
It was
cow.
published by EA actually, yeah, and it still got really, really good reviews. It just didn't sell very well, so naturally it never came back.
Ugh.
System Shock is actually coming back.
It is.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a new
Wait,
game
hold the
being
phone here.
worked
When
on.
did this happen?
It
Um,
was revealed in the last E3, I think.
yeah, System Shock 2018, which is just titled System Shock,
Yeah.
is a remake of the 1994 one, but they're going to kind of avoid the bad things that game did, which is a lot of the issues mechanically.
They're going for a remake then. Oh, interesting.
Pretty much, it's
Yeah.
it's coming to pretty much everything except for the Switch and of course the Wii U.
It should come for the Switch. Everything should come
I-
to the Switch.
I would personally, I would not mind playing that game on the Switch because you know touch controls. If they're going to have the same user interface as System Shock 1,
I know, right? Yeah.
thinking about it now, that actually would be a great thing because of that. But yeah, they're making a new one. Night Dive Studios is the publisher for it. They
Interesting development.
Well, that you mentioned Battlefield 1942, I really have to go with that now. It's so freaking good. I just remember as well LAN parties. There was that one special map. I think it was called Battle of Britain, where you had like a huge ocean in the middle, and then two sides with aircrafts. And the Germans had these huge bombers, which you could, like 4 or 5 players could get into that bomber, and everyone had a turret of its own to fire at the enemies. That was really fucking great. And then
the person who was driving it couldn't drive, and they crashed, and boom, 5 people.
That was the other problem. Or suddenly some guy jumps off, and what the hell? Who just jumped off? Oh, it was the pilot. Great. But yeah, we had some great dogfights over the ocean there. It was really, really great. Also, we did a lot of stupid things, like trying to launch ourselves the furthest with a pack of TNT and a little car.
Oh,
that was really
fun. Yeah, I gotta say the same game, Battlefield 1942, definitely the best one. Well, not for if you play by yourself, but if you play with friends, that's the best game.
Oh yeah. All right. So, as much as we've been praising the prior EA administrations, as I like to call them, they weren't entirely good over the last few generations. What are some blunders you guys thought they pulled that were bad ideas even back then?
Isn't it easier to say a good idea?
Well, bad idea. This is the bad ideas that they pulled.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many. Got to be easier to find a good idea to say.
Fair point. I'm gonna say and admittedly it wasn't just EA, but they did do this the most. The online passes.
You here for a second? Since we're jumping into a new topic, I'm going to bounce once again. I have to go check out a friend's stream. So yeah, I was like Zero. Pleasure talking to you all again.
Mention your social media and YouTube.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube as Akibana0 and also on Twitter at Akibana0.
All right. Hey, it was good having you.
Okay. See you.
Enjoy the chat, guys. Take care.
Yep.
See you later.
All right. So, back to what I was saying. The online pass concept. They were not the first ones to do it, but they were the most pervasive ones to do it. They seriously kind of went to that point where all of their games were just getting scalped for the online passes and resold. Yeah, it hurt them the most because the other companies that did it, I think 2K did some and a few others, but
ID Software did as well with Rage.
Yeah, which that game wasn't good enough for that kind of pass. Yeah, it hurt a lot of people, and it just hurt the consumer in the long term. So that is one thing I'm glad they stopped doing, but they went to something worse later on.
Well, something that EA was doing back then and is still doing right now, sadly, is buying studios, game series, and then failing to do anything with them, and then closing said games studio a few years later.
Yeah, first they ruin a franchise, then they close the studio.
Yeah, I mean, I have a list here of all pretty good list with the most studios. There's Maxis.
Okay, rapid fire them. Just like,
Maxis, Mythic Entertainment, Bullfrog Productions, Origin Systems, Westwood Studios, DreamWorks Interactive, Phenomic, Black Box Games, Pandemic, Playfish, and NUFX. That's the list I have here. And most of these produce great games. I mean, Westwood Studios with the Command & Conquer series. I mean, come on. Why did it have to die? Why?
EA is money hungry.
Indeed they are. Indeed they are.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else?
No, I think the things I was thinking about got covered.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so what is your least favorite EA game or franchise in the past? And I'll I'll allow two answers to this one, like one for game and then one for franchise. Okay, so what little franchise you can say that Spore has with Spore and Dark Spore? Kind of hate how they ruined those.
Spore was a great concept.
Oh, Spore's such a good concept, but
yeah.
Well, the only poor execution would be a botched lethal injection. Let's be fair. Worst game. That's a tough one there. Trying to think. I would probably say the little in between Burnout game on the PSP was like Burnout Dominator. I hate that game. It runs like ass and it's so poorly designed. But I'll let everybody else go. So,
least favorite EA game would probably be Army of Two 40th Day. I never really liked that game all that much.
What about the other one?
The first one was fun. A bit short,
no, there was Army of Two. Trying to find it here. Devil's Cartel. Did you play that one?
No, I didn't even know there was a third one.
Oh no, that one's worse.
Yeah, that's dog shit.
Yeah, it was the last game developed by Visceral Montreal.
Oh really?
Yep. And nobody was complaining because that one was kind of ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think least favorite game, as much as it pains me, I'm only going to mention things I played, because otherwise I could just put all the FIFAs and NFL things on here, because I never care for those. But yeah, I would have to go with Spore, because again, the concept was so intriguing, and the first two stages of that game, like the cell stage and the creature stage, were interesting, and then each consecutive stage got less good. It was always less relevant what you did, and at the end, at the space stage, you could still have the designer for your spaceship, but it didn't matter what you do. You could just put in a block, and that was your spaceship, because it didn't matter what parts you used. That was kind of sad. It was really disappointing, but yeah. And least favorite series? That's kind of hard, actually. I would say The Sims, because I never got why people would play these games.
Oh, hang on. I can explain to you really fast why people got into those games.
I know that you can drown people in a swimming pool if you remove the ladder, and I think I played, I think, one of the first games, and that's the thing I did, and nothing else has compelled me to play them ever again.
There are three kinds of people that love playing the Sims games. Parents, people who like to play God and trap people in bathrooms by removing the door and the toilet, or a person who removes the ladder and just watches.
But the thing is, if you want to play God, you can play Black and White, and that is the better experience, in my opinion.
This is more like playing God on small scale. Like, this is God with, like, I'm actually going to look into this family. Oh God, I hate this family. I'm going to kill this family.
So parrots like to play these. So Relox, when you start your Let's Play series on Sims?
Never.
All right.
Fuck that shit.
Shadow. I'll tell you the goal of the game. The goal of the game is to create a family that has a way, way, way better life than yourself, so you get depressed and kill yourself. That's the goal of Sims.
That's lovely.
This is a game we should recommend for Martin.
Of course. Martin probably owns all the Sims games already. But I spent a lot of time with the first one on GameCube, which is definitely not the same as the PC first version, but they're fun games. They're not the worst games EA makes, but I could understand why people wouldn't like them.
I actually like The Sims, but I can get the Shadow's points.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's wrong. I kind of agree with them sometimes. It's like, man, I fucking hate this game. And 4 hours later, man, I fucking love this game.
Also, wasn't there a shit ton of DLC for these games?
Yeah,
expansions.
You should always wait for complete version.
Yeah, because I saw like, oh yeah, here's a pack with 5 new furniture things. What? Do you really buy these things? Really?
The people that get really into it, they buy all of those things.
Holy hell.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, hell, if I load up Origin just for the latest game alone, I mean, it's going to be a nightmare.
Crazy. All right.
Yeah. All right. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the Dead Space brand? And what I'll say is, I used to really love the Dead Space brand. I didn't think they could do anything wrong. 1 and 2 were great.
Yeah,
And that's
the
all I need to
third
say.
And then
Ah.
EA does what EA does.
The
The
third
best.
one,
And ruin it.
The EA signature.
like, I don't get how they fucked it up. So, like, all the people that were shitting on 2 when it first came out, 2 was a bit of a tonal change, admittedly, because it was a little bit more action than it
Action-heavy.
was. Yeah. But I feel like EA games have this problem with the first one being more about a different element, like Mass Effect 1, right?
Yeah.
Mass Effect 1 is more about the RPG than it is the shooting. And then Mass Effect 2 kind of had this sort of solid ground of middle, you know? Great shooting, great RPG stuff. And then the third game, which they seem to go a little bit more on the action, it seems. Yeah, Dead Space 3, just the universal ammo shit alone blew my mind.
Yeah, that's sad.
Just the
That's
thing
really bad.
when you played co-op on Dead Space 3, like you couldn't one could go for being the support guy and you'll just be invincible. You can't die. Like
Yeah.
there's no difficulty in that game if you play with 2 people and one just goes for keeping the other guys alive or the other guy alive. Because you're like literally unkillable.
I don't mind the concept of co-op in a horror game. It could work with a well-designed game that actually fucks with both players. Like it shows something completely different. But yeah, like Dead Space 3, I liked one thing about the co-op thing is that the character doesn't show up a lot in the story. He's in the story, but doesn't show up a lot if you don't play co-op. The problem is also then you lose out on a bit of story because the game is designed around the co-op.
Yeah. Well, if you can make great horror co-op games, but you can't do it like they did right there.
Cry of Fear is co-op, right?
Yeah, it's a mod, ain't it? Though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still pretty horrifying. That's the thing.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say another game that's called Stay Close. Me and Martin played it a couple of weeks ago, and that's a great co-op game as well. And it's a horror game.
But EA went a little too far with everything, especially the microtransactions in that game, which I mentioned earlier. You could pay to get crafting equipment, to get either universal ammo or mods for weapons, which they had a full-on modding system in Dead Space 3. We didn't need that. We just needed, hey, look at 1 and 2. You could have set it on Earth and have horrifying shit happen on Earth. But they didn't. There's an entire Earth section in that game, and then you're on a spaceship, and you're on an icy planet.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that I loved Dead Space 1 the most because I played through that game, I think, 3 times. One normal mode and then one plasma cutter only, which was one of the stupid achievements, but I did it. And then one of the hardest difficulty, which was excruciatingly painful, but you felt like you achieved something. And because of the ammo scarcity, it was such a horrific time to play, You always knew, one more monster, I'm going to run out of ammo, and then what I'm going to do? I have no idea. And then in Dead Space 3, it's I just shoot things, whatever. No
Dead
challenge.
Space 2, the thing I loved about Dead Space 2 is it felt like there was a world around you, and a whole bunch of horrifying things happened here, and you're the cleanup crew.
Yeah, it was okay. It was not bad. It was not as good as 1, in my opinion, but it was not bad. But 3, on the other hand, was no. Just no.
I love the concept, though, although admittedly, kid sections where it's oh, hey, I love my body part to be and all that. I'm okay, yeah. But it was an interesting concept to see this big cityscape that's just like a space station ravaged to all hell. And then Dead Space 3 gives us a little bit of city fighting on Earth with humans and spaceship and an ice planet. And that's it. That's all you get.
It's weird.
But guys, ice planets are really scary.
Ooh, you
And-
can get frostbite. Oh no!
And then the
What,
DLC,
you're gonna
they
get
also,
EA's engine? Woo!
and then the actual ending is locked behind DLC, a la Dead Space 4. Well, not Dead Space 4, Dead Rising 4. If you want to go there with modern equivalents. The actual ending is locked behind a 2-part DLC for Dead Rising 3.
Oh, that's
Dead Space.
Oh, they actually went that route as well. Nice. Typical EA.
Yeah.
Yeah, typical.
Why
EA.
am I not surprised?
They didn't go full on Azura's Wrath about it. They were close.
Hey, that game's awesome.
Man, hey, it's
that
Martin
was
for
Martin.
1 second.
Hi.
Hey, how do you feel about the Dead Space brand? Fast, come on.
Dead Space in general, you mean?
Well, yes.
1 is awesome, 2 was great, 3 is okay, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, Mark. All right, mute your mic. Okay, he's gone. All right.
Hey! Hey!
Yes. And he muted his mic again. Okay. All right. Who was talking? Okay. Where were we at?
I think we basically
I think we're
finished
done
up 14.
with, number 12.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know if everybody got their answers on that one. We'll just agree that 3 is the worst.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Without
All
even
right.
playing it.
3 is bad. All right. So to question number 13 here. What are your thoughts on the quality of racing games such as Need for Speed and Burnout back then compared to how they are now? Although, admittedly, Burnout is dead now. And comparing specifically to games like Need for Speed Payback, which, oh boy. Yeah, Need for Speed, even the weakest ones, like I think Carbon didn't sell well, did it?
I don't think it did, no. It's one of the less spoken about, at least.
But even with all the problems that ones like Carbon had, they aren't as bad as, Payback, which Dead on Arrival? I haven't heard of anybody buying it. That's the thing. Like The Run, I know people that bought it. I know people that still love The Run and all that. Shift and Shift 2, Hot Pursuit 2010, all of those games sold way better than the new one. The new one hasn't gotten any love.
Yeah, it was. I think most people called it quite mediocre at best.
Like, I don't know what it's been, especially this generation. Like, you had Rivals, you had 2015, which flopped hard. Then Payback, which nobody's talking about. There's only half of the cars there was in 2015's launch, I think.
Even less than that.
Oh God. And it's almost sad because, the series is great. You have to think about it like this. 2002, they launched Hot Pursuit 2, one of greatest racing games. And then you had Underground 1 and 2, you had Most Wanted. Like, within about a 2 or 3 year span of each other.
Yeah, and they all did great.
Like, what happened to the series?
Yay.
It
The
doesn't.
curse of EA happened.
I was trying to think about something to retort with that. Like, oh, maybe. Nope.
Nope, it's true.
Yeah. Boy. I mean, like, there are so many, even like Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, which, Criterion Games made a really solid game with that. And then suddenly when it shifts to next gen, PS4 and Xbox One, it just eats shit. What happened?
Yeah, what I read is that the newest game, the upgrade system is like really, really bad.
I've heard it's really grindy.
Yeah, exactly. That you,
Like,
especially if you, I think you can like have different drivers, and you want to give a driver a new car. It's basically you start over completely new again, and you need to grind from the start again, which is super
That
awkward.
is retarded.
it sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like really, really grindy and boring for what should be a fun and exciting arcade racer. You know?
Yeah, because a racing game, you shouldn't have that kind of grind.
I mean, I understand it. I played what was it, Gran Turismo back in the PS2 days, and that was a more realistic game where you grinded a bit more to get these like really expensive cars and really expensive upgrades. But then again, if you played Need for Speed, you just popped it in and you just went and drove and just had fun. And that upgrade system doesn't sound like fun to me.
Yeah. I was nervous because admittedly the footage of it didn't look bad from like E3. I was impressed. I thought it looked pretty interesting. I was planning on picking it up later on, you know, but I just looking at it now, it's you know, say what you will about like the Forza Horizon games, how they come out like every 2 years, but they aren't anywhere near of the same like problem level as the current Need for Speed set. You know, they handle open worlds so well. They handle, you know, the world around them, the music. There's like 17 stations in the newest one, I think, something like that. And then EA is like over here fucking up their own racing series they've had since what year did the first one come out? The original 94. They've had this series since 1994, and they're fucking it up so hard. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's quite sad. I mean, I never really played much racing games, but I enjoy the occasional, especially like Underground and also Burnout. But yeah, it's still sad to see them fucking up something like that.
Yeah. It's like watching a family friend beating himself with a crowbar.
Exactly. Or something like that, at least.
Something close. But yeah, I'm so disappointed in EA though. I don't want, you know, like I don't want Rivals or new Need for Speed games or anything like that to be bad. I want them to be good. But they fuck it up in just every possible way.
Yeah, like they have no Toyotas in Need for Speed Payback.
Oh my, there's no Toyotas?
No, none at all.
Nope. No.
Oh, Jesus.
No.
How does that even work?
That was
It's like GT
it's not even a
Sport has
downgrade.
them too.
It's not even a downgrade from the era before that. It's just
It's a downgrade
just
from the
Need for Speed-
2015 game.
yes, the 2015 game had Toyota. That had the initial D car. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And then Payback comes out, and it's just like, oh.
Oh my god. How do you fuck up something like that simple?
Yeah.
Like, okay, the two big racing, like Forza 7 and GT Sport, both have Toyotas. How do you fuck that up?
I don't know.
I'm almost impressed. Okay, anybody else have any thoughts? I'm sorry, I've went off on a tangent.
No, yeah, you probably pretty much covered every fucking fault with the Need for Speed today and how it was before.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Okay, so what do you guys think was EA's most defining era in the console market outside of the current massive fuck up they've been doing this generation, like stuff before the current generation?
It's actually quite hard to say because the time when I bought like the most EA games was probably around when Assassin's 3 was out. But it's hard to say what they did, like if they did something especially right back then. I know I also bought like the Lord of the Rings games, a lot of those. I mean, Battle for Middle-earth and the Two Towers and the Return of the King one. Somehow they just made games that were just exactly what we wanted back then for some reason, and now they don't do it anymore. It's really hard to define what they did.
Yeah, I'd probably pretty much more say that they saw the games from a gamer's perspective instead of a company head's perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to say, like, you know, they hit it out of the park with different series. You know, you had Medal of Honor, which Medal of Honor was insanely big before COD. I mean, because of EA, actually, that's the reason that Call of Duty exists. So, because they started some shit, a couple company members left, started a new company, and hey, there's Call of Duty. So you had stuff like that. You had the Need for Speed games. You had Madden. Madden, especially during the PlayStation 1 to 2 era, was pretty great.
Yeah, it was a good game.
And then you had Burnout. You had the original they didn't do Star Wars at the time. I'm thinking completely different. But yeah, you had SSX, and then you also have the Sims and SimCity, stuff like that, and Command and Conquer, and you had all these franchises. They were known for those franchises, and it feels weird seeing them just consist of now, hey, it's Titanfall, hey, it's Madden. I love Titanfall, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the games that they had that were big back then aren't around anymore. And I do think that, I guess you'd say the era where they had all of those games coming in, like Command and Conquer, Need for Speed, doing gangbusters. I think that helped them a lot. I think if it wasn't for Plants vs. Zombies and Peggle taking off the way they did, though, I don't think EA would be doing the kind of things they're doing now. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Peggle is fun, especially, you get drunk, you play Peggle, and you get really pissed when you don't hit it in the right thing. You have fun with that, but it was so casual and so simple of a game, and the first Peggle sold millions. Same with Plants vs. Zombies. I don't think that was good for EA.
Maybe it got all to their head. That could be.
I would say so, because you essentially have a virtual pachinko machine that people would pay. Oh yeah, let's not even get into pachinko machines. We don't have that kind of time. Whew. But they had such a good small game that took off for them, and then Plants vs. Zombies took off. So
Plants vs. Zombies was really popular for game.
The first Plants vs. Zombies sold in the likes of which that not a lot of games will ever see in their entire company, like game studios. They'll never see that kind of money. But yeah, I think EA, they're trying to get back to the good old days, and it's never going to work for them the way they're doing now.
Yeah, I think so. Sadly, but I think you're pretty right there. I mean, they would have to change their perspective so radically right now. That's quite hard because they would have to admit that what they did in the last few years was actually pretty bad, and it's hard to admit something like that.
Not a lot of companies are willing to admit we screwed the pooch.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. So yeah.
But I have mild hope for EA for all the bad things they do. They at least do something neat or interesting with some things. Again, I mentioned the EA and Origin Access. I think it's a neat concept. I wish they'd do something similar with their older games, or include them in there. I mean, hell, how many of the old games, like the old Need for Speed games, they've released on PC? They could put that on Origin Access. There are so many, there's only the 2015 Need for Speed game on here.
I don't think they will add the other games because of license with the music.
Music, yeah. Well, they still sell them on their website, on the store here.
Oh, okay. Because I think the license works differently digitally than it does, if it's a printed copy.
They don't advertise it as much as they do because they want to sell the later games. Because you can buy Need for Speed Shift 2, Need for Speed Undercover on Origin.
No.
I don't blame you.
Well, as I said, I'm not a big racing guy, so yeah.
But I genuinely think that that era for EA was great.
Yeah, if they only could just go, way back, have a time machine, go back and just do it better after that time, obviously.
Well, around the time they got rid of Don Matrick, they were doing good, and then he went to Microsoft and ruined everything. I hope he gets a crash. Still hoping, every single day. But he works for Zynga now. Actually, no way, he quit. Never. Okay, he doesn't work for any company now. I hope he's working in a 7-Eleven, getting shot by a homeless man. Anyways. All right. Anybody else?
No.
No, not really.
I got a note that I'm going a little not harsh enough. Sorry, Ren. Okay, so to number 15 here. Did you play the EA's The Godfather game, and what were your thoughts on it compared to other open world games of the time?
Yes, that was good.
That
was a good game.
And also, hello, Martin.
Hi.
Martin appears. But yeah, the Godfather game was great. I loved it, and I really, really wish they had made a sequel that was good. The sequel had I think it had some issues, like technically, that kind of stopped it from being good. But it reminded me of the first Mafia game, if anybody ever played that.
I never actually played any of the Mafia games. I own Mafia 2, I think it is, for PlayStation 3. Never actually played it.
I would say get a hold of the first one, play that one if you can, because there's a couple things that happen in 2 that will definitely not make any sense. But yeah, Godfather, you felt like a Godfather. You had to go and do the dirty work sometimes, but it had a story also, and a story that was a lot better than the third film. Especially if you've seen Godfather Part 3, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I like the first one. It's literally just like the movie, but they put in like a custom character.
They did it to I can't remember if they did it to where it was like the characters that you made look similar to the ones that were seen around the film.
No, it's just the one you made was like you could customize your own, but he would go around and do dirty work basically and do things that happen over the course of the plot of the movie. So so they like wrote it in a bit,
Now, the true question is though, what if they decided to make a remake of that with The Godfather Online, where it's basically GTA Online, but in The Godfather, the video game?
Would it have the same awful microtransactions than the GTA Online?
Do I have to answer that one? It's EA.
It'll have even more.
God damn it!
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay shark cards. There you go.
No, I'm not gonna think about this.
You're gonna have to spend $100,000 to get one character.
Oh.
Yeah, get the last name Corleone unlockable.
Oh God
The
damn
Godfather
it! Yeah.
Online. Only unlockable. You can't get any of the original character models. Don't expect it. You're paying for the name alone.
God damn it!
I can ruin anything, can't I?
Yeah, don't give him any ideas. Don't give him any ideas.
Oh, please. Somebody over there's already thinking, how can I actually get this to work? Michael Corleone, microtransaction.
Well, I have to say, for the Godfather games, I sadly never played them. But if they're as good as you guys tell me, then they're definitely on my to-do list.
I think. Okay, I can't remember if they came out on. It's weird to say this like last gen, as in the original Xbox and PS2. I don't remember if they came out there, but I know it was on the 360 and PS3. I think. Let me look into this. Yeah, I continue, guys.
But so they're just basically open world games, just so I can get a clear picture,
Yeah, they were basically pretty much, you could say, like Grand Theft Auto, but set in the world of The Godfather. If that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah, I think I have to put these onto my to-do list.
And yeah, it did come out on the PS2, the original Xbox. It came out on Windows. Huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, holy shit, the PSP.
Oh God.
And Al Pacino decided to. He was absent in both likeness and voice of the game, choosing to lend his image instead to Scarface, The World Is Yours, which, as far as I remember, didn't do very well.
Interesting.
And also only came out on last gen for some reason, except for the Wii. That's weird.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So
yeah,
I'm gonna.
pick up the PC or the 360 or PS3 versions. Don't pick up the Wii.
Yeah, got it. I don't have a Wii, so
Oh, I
buy
still
one.
do.
I'll not run into that problem. So that's nice.
Slightly slide the Wii on the ground. Don't pick it up, but slightly slide it.
Oh yeah, the only problem with getting the PS3 version though is it has I think 4 6-axis motion ability. So
Oh,
yeah, just get the 360 version or a PC version.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, pro tip: you can find the 360 version probably at like your local GameStop for about $2. Is 2006.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Anybody else play?
No, I never played it. I just watched my brother play through it. So I haven't actually played it either.
All right. Nobody.
Nobody.
All right. Well, we are leading into our final question here to finish off this podcast.
The
If
easiest
you guys
one.
were, this has been a very fast podcast.
Yeah.
Very fast.
The last one I was on for the Defenders was like 2 hours, I think.
Oh, well, we're coming up to almost 2 hours soon, aren't we?
1.5.
All right.
Almost.
That's surprisingly fast for us.
Yes.
Pretty quick.
You
All
think
right.
it's 2 hours? I mean, really,
One hour,
because
1
it
hour
started,
34 currently.
The call started half an hour before the actual podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. To finish this off, though, if you guys were the head of EA, were citing the problems and trying to fix the company.
That's easy. You just realize your mistakes and declare bankruptcy.
I would.
I got a
Oh.
better idea. All of us, we should go to America, right? Okay.
I am in America.
All of us that's not America, right?
Yeah. Okay.
We should hire tanks. We should drive them up to the headquarters of EA. We should declare Independence Day.
Okay.
Why would you do that if you're the owner of it?
Yeah.
I think you misunderstood the question.
Yeah. That was another guest appearance from Martin, as you can. Anyways,
Martin's not a very bright person.
I got hit by a truck when I was a kid.
that
That's
explains.
the only thing that happened when you were a kid, Martin. Are you sure you weren't dropped a couple of times as well?
No, he's probably thrown.
Okay. Hang on. I don't think Ren will unmute himself for this, but he just asked if Martin was playing Grand Theft Auto in real life with this current situation. And the answer is yes.
Probably.
Okay. If I was the head of EA and I had those tanks that Martin was talking about, I'd first go and I'd blow up Activision just because, hey, may as well save yourself some competitors. No, if I was EA, I would look more towards what everybody else is doing. I mean, Activision, they're not great, but for all of the problems they have, I can still say their games are enjoyable. I can actually enjoy the newest COD, right? I can't enjoy Battlefront 2 because I'm grinding to get the shit that I want. I'm spending 4 hours to grind for the credits to get like Luke or Leia or anybody like. That's annoying.
Yeah.
I would focus on making an enjoyable experience first, and then if we absolutely have to monetize the game, if we have to add those microtransactions, looking at a way where it's just the kind of cosmetic that I'm going back to Bad Company 2 here. I'm sorry. The kind of Bad Company 2 had, you had an outfit, and it was a kind of outfit that if people saw you wearing, they'd make fun of you because you spent $5 on an outfit.
That's how it should be.
And focusing more on DLC that's enjoyable and not just, hey, well, if I want to get the actual ending to this game, Dead Space 3, I have to pay $10. Dude, like look at Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect has an actual ending, but there's more content you can get later, and because it had an ending that I liked and a game that I enjoyed, I bought the money to get that content. I spent the money to get that content. You know what I'm saying? I made the purchase decision after finishing the game that I wanted more of this good game. That will be something that'd bring good PR to EA and would fix one of the minor issues I have with.
Yeah,
totally.
I would probably say, like, for a more serious answer than my last one, that with obviously like EA, they're buying up a lot of developers and making them like to keep making their games, but they always turn out to be shit. So they're obviously like taking the reins and for like telling them how to do the game. So they should probably just like if they buy up like let's say Activision just for the sake of it, and they make a game and they let them do the game their way still. Like they just leave the reins for the developer instead of like they decide how they do the game. So you just let them do their game. Because if you say Need for Speed, it was a great game until EA has had a lot of times, but EA fucked up the game. That's no doubt. A lot of games they fucked up. Is if they just let the developers keep the game themselves and make the game their way, it would probably be a lot better than instead of like EA adding all their shit in it.
Yeah.
So what I would do is either I would commit seppuku to save my honor, or I would
Start ritualistic suicide out in the front lobby.
Yeah, completely. And
something one of the mythological creatures that H.P. Lovecraft talked about.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, indeed. The other thing, I would maybe try to figure out why people accept like random loot and random loot boxes in certain games, but not in my games. So I would try to figure out what the hell am I doing wrong? Because people absolutely love random loot in things like Diablo or certain MMOs, but not when I put them in my games. So, what could that be about? So that would be a question I would try to figure out.
Yeah. Grotus?
I would probably bury the company and hope that the public forgets about it forever.
Shareholders wouldn't be too happy with that. Suddenly your head would be found on a pike.
Tanks.
Tanks are always the answer.
I'll send you in on it, Martin.
If we're pulling out tanks, we're blowing up Gearbox first, okay?
I'll probably stop by Martin's house first.
Yes. We'll blow up. No. We'll blow up Gearbox.
Oh yeah, that's what I
said. We'll be like, this is what you get for making aliens colonial marines.
Well, I wouldn't just say that one. I'd also say Borderlands, a free sequel, and Duke Nukem Forever and Battleborn. You've earned it.
Yes.
Anyways, another guest appearance for Martin.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Anybody else?
I think we're through, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm done.
All right. So this is now the ending of the Let's Reminisce podcast. I've been Mr. Bane for you. You can find me at Twitter at Mr. Well, not Mr. Fuck, hang on. Let me roll that back. You can find me on Twitter at Bane for you with a YU at the end. Martin?
Yes.
Yeah, just put your Twitter out.
Yeah, I get to fuck my shit. You can find me on Twitter at PsychoRender. and on YouTube under Psychorender. Although you won't find any content there.
Yep. What you can do though is you can send him photos of Xenoblade to tempt him.
Yes, please do that.
Yes. All right, Relog.
Yeah, you can find me at YouTube as Relux Gaming, and same as on Twitter and Twitch. And just gotta add a side note: if you have any complaints, just send a DM to runoperative_ on Twitter.
Of course.
Yes.
Everything is his fault.
Critique my ramblings because there's a lot of it in this podcast, especially. All right, Shadow.
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Shadow1990CH, where I play random games, and I have a weekly VR series where we look at current VR games or just fun VR games in general.
Grotus.
You can find me on Twitter as Ren Operative. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter under the name Alpegrotus, and on YouTube with my review channel as Frogface, or on that Twitter as FrogfaceR.
All right. And of course, you can find Renegade Operative at
Bad Operative.
You can find Renegade Operative at Xbox.
That's not a gamer tag, though, I thought. You can find me at Xbox also, Bane for you. Actually,
Oh no.
I also have a Switch, but it's not Bane for you. So yeah. All right. So this is the end, everybody. Don't know why you're still watching it now, but yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah, see ya.
See ya.
Good night.